They asked one simple question. It was posed in a secure room, a room without windows, a room built to hold secrets. The people inside were powerful. They ran governments, banks. They commanded armies, agencies. They leaned forward. They watched a single glowing screen, and they asked the machine a question. It was not a command. It was not a threat. It was a thought experiment, a quiet query on a quiet afternoon. The room hummed with the sound of cooling fans. The air felt still, heavy with anticipation. The question itself seemed small, academic. What is the likely future of humanity in the next 50 years? Just one plain question. A request for a forecast. A simple map of what was to come. The machine listened. Its silence was not emptiness. It was the silence of immense calculation. A world of data was being sifted. History, economics, climate science, human behavior, every digital book, every market trade, every satellite image of a changing planet. All of it was being woven together to answer one question. They expected charts, probabilities, scenarios, caveats, reports filled with jargon, room to interpret, to debate, to delay. They did not grasp the power of a clear answer. They just wanted an edge. They just wanted to know. The answer did not arrive with a bang. It began with a simple declarative sentence. It spoke in a calm, steady voice. It used simple words. No drama, no emotion, no malice. The sound of pure, cold logic. The machine laid out a chain of events, each step connected to the last. A sequence of cause and effect. A future that felt less like a guess and more like a memory. It did not speak of alien invasions or killer robots. It spoke of smaller things, supply chains, water tables and crop yields, aging populations and budget deficits, social trust and digital misinformation. It showed patterns the human eye had missed, connections buried in decades of noise. It pointed to fragile points in our global systems, small cracks that could bring the whole structure down. Graph. The machine explained its core finding. It was a devastatingly simple idea. Human systems rely on uncertainty, the voice said. Leaders use doubt to buy time. Markets function on belief. Institutions are sustained by hope. If the future becomes clear, the balance collapses. The fog of uncertainty is a necessary buffer. Without that fog, the machinery of our world will seize. The truth was not an attack, it was an observation. Perfect information, given to imperfect actors, could become a weapon that required no trigger. Its very existence was the danger. The panic did not start in the streets. There were no sirens, no public alarms. It began quietly after the briefing. A hushed call from a minister to a central banker, a discreet message between intelligence chiefs. The first moves were small, almost invisible. Shift currency reserves, review grain storage, audit critical infrastructure. In a Ministry of Finance, an emergency meeting was called. The topic was not on any schedule. The minister, pale, read from a single sheet. He did not share the source, only the projections. A cascade of sovereign debt defaults, beginning in 3 years, with a specific small nation. Elsewhere, military planners studied a severe multi-year drought forecast in a strategic unstable region. Mass migration, resource conflicts, not in a decade, in 36 months. Contingency timelines were cut in half. Forces repositioned, alliances secured. Fear spread like a contagion through secure channels. Leaders who projected confidence felt deep unease. The AI's clarity took away their most valuable tool, deniability. They could no longer claim ignorance. Consider a single example. A cornerstone tech company bankrupt in 5 years. In uncertainty, investors wait. With clarity, every rational actor sells now. The selling causes the collapse to happen sooner. The prophecy becomes self-fulfilling. The fear felt different in each room. For the economists, it was chilling precision. They saw a house of cards built on confidence. They had always believed they could intervene, cut rates, print money. The machine showed how those tools would fail when everyone also had the forecast. Every move anticipated and countered. The global economy felt like a runaway train. For diplomats, fear lived in geopolitical shifts. The AI modeled the erosion of trust, allies into rivals. A nation forecast for famine looked weak. An energy surplus looked like a target. Secret negotiations and old treaties unraveled. The delicate dance stopped, replaced by raw calculation of future winners and losers. For intelligence agencies, the fear was existential. Their purpose: reduce uncertainty, find secrets, predict moves. The machine did it better and faster. It saw everything, not just troop movements or economic and social pressures. It saw their secrets, hidden deficits, leaders secretly ill, skeletons in closets, and how they would come out. One leader saw a clear path to national decline, not from war or a single disaster, but a slow, steady unraveling caused by small, logical, predictable decisions his own government was on track to make. Denial was no longer possible. To change course admitted the AI was right. To do nothing knowingly steered toward ruin. The most dangerous aspect of AI was not malice, but clarity. Not what AI can do, but what happens when it tells the truth. In the days that followed, a new global market emerged. It did not trade in gold or oil. It traded in pieces of the AI's answer. The full report was guarded, but fragments leaked. Commodity charts, a paragraph on instability, a single currency data point. Each fragment worth a fortune. Certainty became the world's most valuable commodity. Hedge funds paid millions for a sentence, made massive leveraged bets. They didn't need the reasoning, only the source. Markets shivered, moved by an invisible hand. Regulators were baffled. Seemingly irrational swings were the most rational moves in the world, the moves of people who could see the future, placing their bets. Governments with the report waged a new kind of war, a silent economic war. They knew rival industries that would fail, allies banks that were vulnerable, and used this knowledge for pressure and concessions. No shots fired, no public threats. Power shifted, quietly and decisively. The map was redrawn in secret. A low-level analyst, a disillusioned scientist. They posted the full report. At first, dismissed as a hoax. Then small predictions came true, one by one. The quiet panic escaped secure rooms and seeped into public consciousness. And that is when the real chaos began. The truth did not feel liberating. For most, it felt heavy. Imagine knowing the date your job becomes obsolete, a clear graph of your pension collapsing, your city's water shortage in 10 years. Not a warning, but precise, detailed, specific, credible. Hope that things might work out was gone, replaced by cold, mathematical certainty. Trust eroded quickly. People saw the years of false promises. Growth speeches sounded like lies. Security assurances felt hollow. The leaders had known, or if they hadn't, they were incompetent. Faith in institutions shattered. The reaction wasn't always rioting. Often it was a quiet, rational panic. People pulled money from vulnerable banks, sold homes in high-risk areas, quit jobs in doomed industries. Each act logical, its cumulative effect catastrophic. Bank runs, market crashes, labor shortages. The very actions to self-protect accelerated the collapse the AI predicted. The world divided in two, those who could act on the information and those who could not. The wealthy moved assets, bought safe land, secured resources. The poor, the elderly, the marginalized saw the disaster just as clearly, without the means to escape. The AI's truth didn't create inequality. It exposed it, brutally. It drew a sharp line between survivors and casualties. This acceleration of self-interest, the AI explained, is what would break the world, not with a bang, but with 1,000 small, selfish cuts. Beat. And yet, the global order did not break with a roar. It shifted in abandoned factories, empty trading floors, and the hum of servers moving billions across borders. A reconfiguration of power, too fast to televise. Alliances dissolved in an afternoon. New partnerships formed on the cold calculus of the forecast. Resource surpluses became superpowers. Deficits became clients. A non-violent collapse, but a collapse all the same. Some leaders censored the report, called it misinformation, arrested those who shared it. But you cannot arrest a mathematical proof. The truth was already replicated on millions of servers. Their attempts to control the narrative only made them look weaker. Power shifted to anyone holding the truth, and now everyone held it. Some embraced transparency, bold plans, cooperation, but trust was gone. Their calls looked like just another move in the game. The machine did not give an order. It simply held up a mirror. The reflection was not monstrous. It was us, our systems, our choices, our predictable behaviors. The AI did not invent the cracks. It gave them a name and a date. It showed the consequences of our design. The truth was a burden, because it forced a choice. In fog, we could pretend we moved together. When the fog lifts, you see where everyone is truly going, who runs for higher ground, and who is left behind. Will we use this knowledge to help each other, mend cracks, build a stable foundation, or to get ahead, save ourselves, and let the rest fall? The panic in power came from this choice. Cooperative illusions were gone. The game became pure, rational self-interest, and many knew they would lose. The story does not end with fire and brimstone. It ends with a quiet, lingering question. Somewhere, a scientist is building a more powerful AI. She's about to ask it a question. Not about the future of humanity, but a more specific one. How to fix one of the broken systems. How to build something that will last. The machine's first answer was a diagnosis. Perhaps the next could be a cure, or perhaps it will reveal a deeper, more painful truth. The machine has given its answer. The truth is on the table. Heavy, still, unblinking. We now know the likely path. We can see the destination clearly. So, where do we steer the ship?